Hey everybody, it's Mike from Orderflows. Welcome to today's presentation. I'll get started in about 30 seconds. We've got a lot of people registered today, so I just want to give them a chance to get in. It's only been the first week of 2021, and it hasn't disappointed, so to speak. So I'll get started in about 15 more seconds. Just waiting for the last people to get in, and then we'll get things going. So for those of you that aren't familiar with who I am, my name is Michael Valtos. I'm the founder and trader at Orderflows.com, which is an order flow trading software and education company. I'll be joined today with Pablo Maglio from the Indicator Store. He's got a tool called Markers, which is very helpful for traders. It helps you automate your trade entry. And that's important because one of the things that a lot of traders struggle with oftentimes is getting into a trade. They hesitate, right? And in trading, the old saying, he who hesitates is lost. That really applies to trading, just as into many aspects in life. And the tool Markers, which I first discovered many years ago, back when we were still on running NinjaTrader 7, sort of solves that problem, and it helps you manage the trade. Now, in automated trading, there's different ways you can handle it. I like to use automated trading to get me into the trade as quickly as possible, right? So I'm not sitting there, with my dick in my hand, so to speak. Should I be in this trade? Should I not be in this trade? If the conditions are met, it will get me into the trade as soon as the conditions are met. And that's really what you want to do, is you want to get in as quickly as possible if that's a trade you want to do. I've seen so many traders struggle because they hesitate getting into a trade. And that's just getting into a trade. Getting out of a trade obviously is a whole nother part of trading. Okay. And with Markers, you can obviously set your ATM for your take profit and your stop, but you could also manage it. But for me, the real power, the real strength in using a tool and using Markers is to get into the trade as quickly as possible. Sometimes you just look away from your screen for a second, and boom, the trade sets up, and then you get in late, right? Getting in late can cost you um, a few ticks, and a few ticks over course of a year add up really quick and add up to a lot of money. So before we begin, just a brief disclaimer: please understand trading involves risk. Risk capital is money that you can use without jeopardizing your financial security. Don't bet your rent money. Don't take your, oh my gosh, I just got paid and this money's got to go to the rent. Oh wait, no, I'm gonna put it in the market. Some people do that. As crazy as it seems, they go out and they want to trade it. They sort of have this race against time. Don't have that mentality. Be responsible. So you know last year, 2020, was absurd. It's like, I remember going through 2020 and it's like, oh, it can't get worse. Back in June, oh, things can't get bad as it is now. And then September, oh, it's not going to get worse. And then it gets worse. And then after New Year's, sitting down with my wife on the sofa after ringing in the New Year's, well, at least 2020 is over. It can't get worse. Yet 6 days into the year, you know, it gets worse. Um, but the markets have been resilient. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of theater. If there was really a coup, do you think the market would be continue making all-time new highs? Just bear that in mind. So sometimes it feels like the market has a life of its own. So with that in mind, what's the agenda for today? Is I'm going to talk about what the Flow Scalper tool is, okay, and how it's going to help you in your trading. The Flow Scalper is a new tool that I released from Orderflows, and it reads the order flow. Then I'm going to turn it over to Pablo. He's going to talk about markers, okay, what that is, and a bit about its background, how to use it, etc. And then I'll take it back, and Pablo and I will talk, why you automate trading, and I'm going to take some time, take you through the steps on how to set up Flow Scalper in markers. Okay, so by the time you come away, you'll understand what Flow Scalper is, what markers is, whether or not you want to automate trading, um, and more importantly, how to set it up in markers. Sometimes a big problem people have is they see a software, okay, and oh, this is great. I want to get this software. But then they get it, they don't know how to use it, right? And that's a big problem. It leads to a lot of frustration, and it leads to a lot of wasted time. So that's why we're doing this presentation, so get you up to speed, have a reference for you that you can refer back to if you're struggling getting something set up. It's honestly, once you understand how to get it set up, once you go through the steps, then it just makes your life a lot easier. So Flow Scalper, okay, what it is it runs on NinjaTrader 8. It's an indicator that reads the order flow, okay? And you need to enable tick replay on NinjaTrader 8 if you want to look at the historical signals. Personally, I was just having a discussion with Pablo earlier, do I keep the tick replay on or off? I always have it enabled on all my charts. Just makes it easier for me because I've got like 20, 30 tabs open with different markets. Sometimes I want to flip to another market and see how it did, overnight or the day before, and having tick replay on solves that problem. And the Flow Scalper will work on a normal candlestick chart as well as an order flows trader chart, the footprint chart. And it'll work on minute-based charts, range-based charts, tick-based charts, volume-based charts, Heikinashi, Kagi charts. Now, it's not a footprint chart, okay? So don't think that, even though I show you examples on a footprint chart using Flow Scalper, it sits on top of a footprint chart. So it's not a footprint chart itself. However, what it does is it does read the order flow data, right? What's happening in the market, right? In order flow, there's delta, imbalances, point of control, right? The three main parts of order flow, right? And obviously volume is a big important part of order flow as well. So what the Flow Scalper does is it takes all that information and it generates signals based on what's happening in the market. Are buyers in control or are sellers in control? So the problem that most traders have is taking those pieces of the order flow data points, right? The delta, imbalances, point of control, volume, and making them work together. And really, the Flow Scalper, when I released it last month, even though I still have a special introductory price, which will be ending soon, I've been getting great feedback. People have been telling me, the equity curve is nice and stable on the results. People are telling me which market they're doing well in, and what time frames, what type of charts they're looking at. And it's been nice. It's been nice to see so many people being helped. Now, if there's one piece of advice I give you in trading, is just follow the money, right? Period. People say, oh, I got to look at this indicator, I got to look at that indicator. No, you got to look at what's trading in the market, okay? And don't overcomplicate trading, right? Just follow the money. And sometimes people think that they're smarter than everybody else. Let me ask you, do you think you're smarter than the whole collective at JP Morgan or the whole collective at Goldman Sachs? Probably not. I mean, who knows? You might be. You might be a genius or something, but most often than not, those are the people that you are competing against. Okay, and you got to you have to understand that you could have sort of the best level, the best way of analyzing the market, but if the money that comes in after you get into a trade isn't there to confirm it, it's going to be a loser, right? And Flow Scalper is a tool that is going to help you, even if you're in a position, confirm that, yeah, this trade is going to keep working, right? And that's the problem that a lot of traders struggle with, is they get in a position, and once they're in the position, as far as they're concerned, that's it. Okay, it's either going to go to my stop or it's going to go to my take profit, and there's no middle ground. Well, there is middle ground, and that's where traders can excel is reading what's happening after you get into a trade. If I get long, E-minis at a certain price, 38.01, and it goes up 38.01, 38.02, 38.03, all of a sudden bearish flow comes into the market at 38.04, then back down to 3.5 at 2, based on what I'm seeing in the order flow, can tell me to get out of the trade. I don't have to sit there and say, oh, okay, well, if I got my 4-point stop, so if it comes down to 37.96, I'm out. Okay, but why wait for it to stop you out if what you're seeing in the order flow all of a sudden has changed? Okay, that's what makes order flow traders different than normal indicator-based traders. Okay, they're following the money. They're not the following the math, so to speak. That's most indicators are math based in the sense that they come from some mathematical equation, and that's all well and good in things in certain industries, but mathematicians aren't traders. In the past, Fibonacci wasn't a trader. A lot of these guys weren't traders. So, basically what you're trying to take is you're taking something that was developed 3, 4, 500 years ago and applying it to the market because it looks nice and it looks like it's working. Well, I could go outside and take a picture of the branches hanging on my trees, put it up on a chart and say, oh yeah, when the market came down to this branch, that was support and it rallied up, and then I'm going to overlay that every time I look at the market. That's not trading. So order flow follows the money. Okay, so when you look at a candlestick chart, where do you think that information comes from? Well, right, it comes from the time and sales. Okay, and that's where you're going to see the order flow. So let me just pull up a chart here. Okay, this is okay. So I'm going to be flipping around, between a normal bar chart, okay, and a footprint chart. Okay, so this is a footprint chart. This is yesterday in the E-minis, okay? And you can see there's a lot of information. You can see the volume traded on the bid, the volume traded on the offer, where there's imbalances. You can see, deltas if they're positive, if they're negative. Again, I'm not going to make today, a whole class on order flow, but there's so much information you're seeing on this chart that you don't see on this chart, right? A normal candlestick chart just tells you, oh yeah, the bar opened here, traded down here, traded up there, then it closed, up or down. Yeah, that's great. But you're really missing out on the whole point of trading, and this is where, if you've ever run a business, okay, you understand how important volume is, and that's sort of one of the reasons why I think a lot of traders struggle is they sort of disregard volume. Okay, they sort of relegate it because they haven't been able to figure out how to use it. Basically, you have these great scientists, literally rocket scientists, getting data, right? Guys doing their PhD, pulling up data over the last 50 years, but they're just looking at price in the market. They're not looking at volume, so they don't have context of what was trading at a price. And if you've ever run a business, you understand that if you're selling a product and demand is such, that's going to adjust. What demand is doing is going to affect how you are going to price something, and how you price something is going to affect how much of the product sells, right? So you're always dealing with supply and demand in relation to price. If price gets too high, less people are going to buy. If it gets too low, more people will buy, and that's going to affect, if you're running a business, that's going to affect your profits and losses. So it's something that, as a trader, you need to keep in mind and and understand. So without getting into sort of the minutia, right? There's the order flow scalper, just really quick, is reading all this information in the bar, right? What's going on in the order flow in that bar, relative to previous bars. And let me just open up these settings here. And basically it distills it into a few choices, right? You have a choice of, do you want to have signals generated, you know, at swing highs or swing lows, or any time a signal is generated? You can adjust volumes, like do you want to see signals when only if there's a certain amount of volume has been met, if it's been 200 contracts traded in the bar. If you're looking at something, a thin market, that may be applicable. But if you're looking at most markets, it's not, when I say thin markets, I'm talking about some of these markets that not a lot of people trade, some of the grain markets or oil seeds, things like that, smaller markets. The normal order flow strength, this is the most important one you're going to deal with. Next is contango. Now this contango one, as people are a bit confused, different markets trade in different ways based because they're physically settled or they're cash settled. Physically settled means it's deliverable. Cash settled means it settles, and any difference is cash settled into your account. Whereas something like a grain market or an oil market, depending if you're long or short, you got to make delivery or accept delivery. So those type of markets have, slightly different characteristics, okay? And that also has a strength that you can adjust. Now, tight markets, depending on what market you're trading, and the time of day, because what tight markets is, if you're trading E-minis at night versus E-minis during the day, right? You can see at nighttime, you're going to get a lot of bars. This is a 1-minute chart. A lot of bars at nighttime that, maybe 4 or 5 ticks big, but during the day you only get a few of them, right? But at nighttime you get a lot of those. And, some bars that are just basically trade the bid and the offer for how many minutes. That's where tight markets comes in. If you're trading the nighttime and you want to analyze those markets, those type of bars as well. But normal bars, it's fine. If you're trading during the day, you in a contract like the E-mini, you don't have to really use that. But if you're trading in the night session, that takes into account sort of the volatility of the market in the sense that it doesn't move around as much, so it's trading in a tighter range. Now you could have a sound alert. You just have to tick that, and you could just drop your own sound alert in here. Now, one other quick thing is the trade entry signal. Now, one of the reasons why I first got interested in markers was because I needed something that could help my trading, get me into a trade. So, when the order flow was conducive, and what that means is, say as the conditions are met here in this bar here at 10:55. Okay, I like to let the market take me in. Okay, I like the next bar to open up and start moving in that direction. Okay, I want it to start moving by 2 ticks, right? So if I have a long signal, I want the next bar to open up and start trading at least 2 ticks before it generates this buy signal. That's what this trade entry signal is. Now there's 2 points to this. There's trade validity in bars and there's trade price level. 2 is this next bar has to move by at least 2 ticks, and it has to happen within 2 bars. So what that means is this is the signal bar here at 10:55. So either in the next 2 bars, it has to start moving by at least 2 ticks. If it doesn't, then there's no trade. So what's happening is, if you don't have trade entry signal, in this signal bar is where the signal would appear. Now, with the trade entry signal, it's only going to tell me, it's only going to take trades if this signal bar has the signal, and then the next bar or 2 starts moving in that direction. That cuts out a lot of bars that I don't get the follow-up order flow, right? And that's going to affect my trading, right? Because if I get long, but the rest of the world doesn't agree that, yeah, everything's turned bullish. Like I said, follow the money, right? If everything came in here at, we're at this swing low and everything was bullish, and yeah, it looks like there's a great buying opportunity, okay? But, if the big traders also don't agree that there's a buying opportunity, the market's it's not going to go any higher, and eventually it'll just sell off and fall over, and, will stop you out. This keeps me out of not all the bad trades, but it keeps me out of a good portion of the trades. It keeps me out of the trades that don't work out. So, I've gone through a lot of my past signals and past trades, and it keeps me out of about 45% of trades that I shouldn't be in, right? So imagine you could cut out 40% of your losing trades. What do you think that's going to do to your bottom line? So all these settings, right? What I'm going to show you later. I'm going to turn it over to Pablo in a minute, but all of these, whoops, here it is. All of these settings right here, you put it into Markers Plus. I use Markers Copy to generate my signals and do my auto trading, and that's what's going to enter the trades for you. So whatever I have set up on here, I automate that, right? I automate the trade entry, and then obviously it'll have my ATM strategy. You should have several different ATM strategies depending on the markets. One other quick thing, markets at night, markets during the day generally trade differently in the sense that, I could use the same settings on Flow Scalper at night as I use during the day, but my take profits are going to be lesser, right? It's going to be different because you don't get as many moves at night as you do during the day that are, the normal rotations. So anyway, with that in mind, I'll turn it over to Pablo now. So just give me a sec, and and he can take you through markers. So let me just find you here, Pablo.
Hello, everyone. Test.
Okay. Yep, I could hear you.
I can show my screen. Perfect. And which screen?
Okay, I see a screen with the Amazon.
No, not this one.
Okay.
This other one. Okay, now you can see three charts. Perfect. Yes. Hello, everyone. First of all, Happy New Year. Hello, Mike. Thank you for this opportunity to show the tool. And by the way, I have a lot of customers asking about how to automate your signals. So that means that you are very successful.
That's
Congratulations.
Good. Thank you.
So let's take a look, because what I am going to explain today is useful not only for Flow Scalper, but also for Delta Scalper and a lot of your indicators and another third-party indicators. First of all, the main difference that you were explaining today about the tick replay. The three charts that we can see now are the same, and the only one different is this one that has the last option. This one, the trade entry signal is turned off. And this is the only difference. This chart is painting signals that while the bar is moving, sometimes they are deleted. And for example, all the triangles here, all these signals are part of this because, as Mike explained, here we wait for 2 ticks move, because here the option, I guess it is 2 ticks. Yes, 2 ticks. So we must move 2 ticks in the direction of the signal. For example, here I have a short, this one, and there was a move 2 ticks below, this move. But the signal is painted when that already happened, because we are 2 ticks into the direction of the trade. So this signal, this one, is painted here. And also that means that once this signal is painted, it is no longer deleted. So I can read this signal and enter the market intrabar at the exact moment this signal is painted, which is not at bar close. This signal is painted intrabar when market goes 2 ticks in the direction of the first signal. So here, with the same indicator, we have 2 different ways to trade. we can trade these signals or this one. Both signals are painted intrabar. And the only difference is that on this chart, when the market moves, then we can, I will try to make a playback so we can see how it works. But the signals that we can see here are painted and deleted. So maybe I enter in the market and then the signal is deleted. Instead, the signals on this chart, once they are painted, they remain. And again, they are not painted at bar close. So my entry on this signal is not at the close. Usually it is when I am 2 ticks into the direction of the market. And if we have time, I will do a playback so we can review that. And what we have on this chart is a copy of this one. The only difference is I did a refresh. And when we do a refresh, if I don't have this option, the tick replay, this is on data series. And there is a good video of Mike on how to enable this option if you don't see that option on your chart. So this is for historical. If you enable this option, when you reload NinjaScript or add an indicator or change anything on your chart, everything is recalculated again, tick by tick, no bar by bar. So depending on the number of days that you have on your chart and the number of indicators that calculate tick by tick, this may take some time. Instead, on this bar, I have tick replay enabled. So even if I do a refresh, this indicator on my computer, because this is an old notebook, I have 3 days on 1 minute Nasdaq, and it is taking more or less 15 seconds, 15. But take into account that if I copy the signals, then I have another 15 seconds. And if I copy the long, and then I copy the short, I have 15 seconds, in total more or less 1 minute. So I am not going to refresh this chart. But at the end of the session, at the end of this explanation, I will show you a trick to not use tick replay and also get the signals painted only on playback. When we are testing an instrument and a setup, we use playback and we can get all the signals not using tick replay. But now let's go to the how to automate this. And we have 2 different signals. So on this chart, whatever I place on this chart is not going to be painted unless the market moves. Because if we connect now to something that moves, a data feed that moves, from this bar to the right, all the signals will be painted because the indicator works real time. That means it is not necessary to have tick replay enabled to trade the signals. It is necessary to view the historical signals, what we have here. For a visual backtest, this is really helpful. But for light trading, if you want a fast control of your computer, you want to change something and have an instant result, my suggestion is try to disable that option. And okay, for visual backtesting, you can enable the tick replay. But don't forget that while the tick replay is working, most of the charts with the same instrument are not working. So be careful with that if you are trading live. So let's try to work with this chart. Okay. And let's see if I remove all I have, the 2 copies. And if I click on OK, everything will be We have a refresh, calculating. This is on tick replay. So it should take about 15 seconds to finish this. After this finish, we have the signals. Perfect. These signals are plots. We can click on the middle button on the mouse, and we can see that this indicator has 4 plots. And most of the signals are the first 2. We can also see the plots on the indicator parameters at the bottom. And these are the plots that we need to copy on this example. And using the same parameters, because if I change one of the parameters, the copied signal is not going to be the same than the painted signal by the indicator. And also, we must check that if the indicator is working at each tick, we must copy at each tick. So, having said that, we go to markers copy, assign a name for my signal, for example, go long. And go long, for example, is already used on this chart. So on this case, I am going to use the instance number 2. So I can duplicate names or, on the same instrument. Now, this is a fast signal. Perfect. And on input series, I need to place this indicator with all the same parameters. So we click here, indicators, Orderflows Flowscalper. And I don't remember the settings, so I have a screen capture here. Oh, okay, it is not moving. Okay. So again, input series, order flow, flow scalper, the same parameters, 1, 0, 2, 1. And this option is enabled. That means that the signals painted are confirmed. They are painted intrabar and confirmed. And I want to copy the normal by, these blue triangles. Okay. Now, also very important, the indicator works at each tick. So I need to copy at each tick. And the markers copy paints a little dot that we use as guideline. And we can change that shape. And also we can hide that dot. But this is important just to check that what we are copying is the same that we are watching on the screen. So if I click on OK, now we need to wait the indicator and then the copy. So twice the time. We can see here it is calculating. And if we have more charts on the same instrument, they are not moving, neither taking orders. Okay, now we have the indicator. And can you see a little dot? Check if we can. Yes, now it is visible. A little dot over the triangle. So we can check that the copied line is equal to the real signal. And now we can select copy, right click copy, paste. I have not copied, so I can click copy, click again, paste. I need to wait again another 15 seconds or maybe a little more. This is just to avoid having to copy all the parameters again I just copy and paste, and then I only need to change the plot, one of the parameters. So I go to indicators. Now I have two copies. And both are exactly the same because I copied and pasted. So I only need to change on the second the name of the signal, go short, or whatever you want. And on input series, we need to select the other plot. And instead of normal by, normal short. All the parameters are already okay because I did the copy. Okay, and now we can change the color to red. And if I click on OK, then we need to wait for the indicator and for the copy for longs and the copy for shorts. Okay, now we have the indicator. Now we have the copy for longs and the copy for shorts, and we can see the dots. If this is just for checking that we are doing correctly everything. If you don't like the dots, there is a parameter to disable that painting. On the copy, you can turn off this option. Now, take a look at this. We copy a plot from an indicator. We assign a name as a fast signal because we have this option enabled. And we are copying the horizontal offset is 0 is the current bar. I can type a 1, so we copy the previous bar. That means here I am copying real time because this is working real time, whatever is painted by this plot. That means that if the signal is painted, at the same tick, I execute an order because I can now go to markers, which also works on intrabar, always. I add markers by default, and please never change that. Markers works at each tick. And I need to, instead of looking for drawing object, which is a slow process, we can change to fast signal and type the name of the signals that we created with the copies. And on this case, these two copies are using an ID of 2. Because on the other chart, I am already using those signals and I don't want them to get mixed. So these markers is reading go long with the ID number 2. And that's all. If I click on OK, again, I need to wait. But if I turn the tick replay off, it is going to work anyway. There's no difference. Now we need to wait to finish this. Let's see what happens with the other option, because this is important. Okay. The final step, we have the signals painted by the indicator, the copied signals, and we also have the markers toolbar. Now, if I want to automate this, I need to open NinjaTrader, select an ATM, click here, select an ATM, select an account. I am disconnected now, but select an account, and then click here. If you are on Playback, the account name is different. Then enable the longs, enable the shorts, and switch to semi-automatic or automatic. Semi-automatic trades only the following signal, and then the button turns off. This is useful if you are waiting for a short, for example, but only the following short because you want to be in control. Then you can enable the shorts, switch to semi-automatic, and as soon as we get a signal painted, it enters shorts with your selected ATM and the button is turned off. But if you want to trade all the signals, you can switch this to automatic. We have a lot of more options on markets. We can add filters, we can add exit conditions. We have, for example, money management. Like, for example, by default, we have a maximum daily profit of 500. If we reach that number or exceed that number, either positive or negative, then we get a message here that says limits are reached and no more trade for the day. And this is also something important if you are going to full automate your setup. Also, we have entries. The default is enter at market, but you can place a buy stop over the bar or a buy limit below the price action. But more about that, you can go to my training sessions. All Tuesdays, they are free, or watch my videos. And yeah, we have more options. Like, for example, the time window. I can specify which time to start, which time to stop, or I can type 2 time windows, trade the morning, trade the afternoon. Anyway, this is a way to automate those signals. Now, what happens with the other configuration? Because there are several indicators on the market that work like this indicator. With this configuration, we have the confirmation option disabled. So the signals are painted early, 1 bar early, but they can be deleted when the bar closes. And we can try later to see them working with Playback. Now, with this option turned off, we can see that on the copies, everything is the same, but I am looking at the previous bar. Why? Because what the triangles that we see here were painted, and finally, when the bar finishes, they remain or not. But if I am copying real time all the triangles, maybe I get triangles everywhere. And this is what happens if I don't use a 1. Let me show you. Everything else is the same, because the procedure for the copy is exactly the same. The only difference is that on input series, when I copy the indicator, this option is not enabled. And now, if instead of using 1, so you can see that I have a delay. The signal is 1 bar late because I am looking if my previous bar has a signal still painted. If I use a 0, then I get a signal every time a bar had a signal, even if it was deleted. See if it takes too much. Now it is calculating. I can remove this now. Maybe sometimes we want to execute those kind of orders, even if they are later deleted. Now we can see the signals that remain painted are the triangles, and the copied signals are where we have a dot. That means that this bar, for example, with a blue dot, had a triangle at some moment, and then it was deleted. And it was deleted because there was no advance in the following bar, 2 ticks in the same direction. Same on these two. These two had a triangle and then removed. So now let's try to do a playback And also I will show you a method to get the signals painted without using tick replay. So this is the moment where maybe my Ninja crashes. So just to take into account, I will close this workspace and open this one with no tick replay. No, I don't want to say nothing. Okay, here I have only one chart. The tick replay is not enabled. And the indicator on this example is using the confirmation method, this one. So the signals, once they are painted, they are never deleted. Now, if I want to test this, I can connect to Playback, and this usually fails. And in my case, in my computer, it usually fails, and even more if I am using tick replay. Okay, let's go to the new release of NinjaTrader from 8.022 and later have this option. When you right click the playback, you have 3 different options. Ninja 7 worked this way from selected. That means if I click on go to January 5 at 5 a.m., if it works, I need to wait this to be green, I get an instant chart at 5 a.m. But the signals are not painted because it is not calculated. It is painted on historical mode, same as it worked on Ninja 7 and also on previous versions of NinjaTrader below 0.22. But now, if I click on current day, and now I click on go to, and I don't change this. I leave the same date and time. What I get is a playback, a fast playback of all the day to the time that I am working. So the result is I get the signals painted tick by tick. They are the real thing. And you can see the effect. If I reload Ninja script, everything is gone. So this is my trick for the day. If you are doing playback and you want to check your signals, then this is a way to do a fast playback. But now when you want to test, it is faster to click from selected. So if I click on play, I need to select automatic. I need to select an ATM, and I need to select the account. It is already set, but if you were on sim and then change it to playback, don't forget to change the account. Now, if I click on play, from the current bar, it will start painting signals, and also it will execute those signals. We can go faster. I guess we can go even more faster. There should be a signal more or less. Yes, here I have a signal. That was a trailing stop, and I can go even faster. Okay. So if you want to do something fast, you can leave the tick replay turned off. There's no difference in the performance of the real time, because the real time is not using this option. But this is for you, because if you change something For example, if I add an indicator now, I don't know, anything, this. When I click on OK, all these signals are gone. They are no longer there because the indicator needs intrabar data to calculate. But I can do the trick, turn this to disable because I don't want to execute, and play all the current day. Now go to, don't change nothing, click OK. And now I get again all the signals. And I guess that's all. I covered all the possible ways to execute. And let me show you the other, because maybe let's change the other method. Let's change the signals to not use this. Perfect. And also we need to change the copies to not use this. The same for the other. Not use this. Okay. And I don't need this. Okay. All the signals are gone, so I can do the same trick again. Go to, okay. And now the movement is too fast, so we cannot see the signals painting and painting, but we can decrease the speed and take a look at the signals. Let's go just a little faster. Can you see the triangle is gone? But the dot remains because it was painted. Same here. The triangle was painted, I have a signal, and maybe if I am executing this order, I am entering long. On this case, it was good. Same here, I have a short. There was a short painted, and there was a short detected. So if the market keeps going to the upside, this is a fake detected signal, like now. So how can I solve that? I need to copy the previous bar. On the copy, I select one bar ago. So I am sure that the signal remains. One bar ago. Okay. It is off. So now let's go again. Okay. And now I have a triangle confirmed. Triangle confirmed. And now let's see how it works. Enable automatic and play. When I see a triangle, there is no signal because we wait on the following bar. Here I have a triangle. It is deleted, again painted. Now I have a blue triangle, possible long. If at the following bar it remains, no, it is not remaining. Now a possible long, no, it is deleted. Now, the triangle remains, it was detected and executed. There are a lot of ways to trade this because you can also have the option to execute all the unconfirmed signals, and instead of enter at market, just place a buy stop order over the bar. So if the market moves in your direction, then you enter the market. If a certain number of bars, the market is not going in that direction, the order is cancelled. Okay, I guess I have covered everything. Not sure if there are any questions.
Yeah, Pablo, stay on. There's a few questions maybe you can that are kind of directed at you. Let me just see here because a lot of questions starting to come in now. Let's see. Okay, here. Good. Question is, where is it? These things keep scrolling. People are asking questions. Just bear with me. Where was it? The filter. Someone asked about a filter. If you can show an example how to set up a filter.
Yeah, very simple. And that's a classic. Let me close this position because I have a lot of signals from this system or any other system. Lot of ways to define filters. One, the slope of a line. Very good. A classic example. For example, I don't know, maybe a linear regression. Whatever you have on your indicator list can be used as a filter. I like the linear regression. Maybe you have something else. From the linear regression, I like to look not the position of the price versus the line, but the slope. And I can calculate the slope of that line with one of the tools that is included with markers. Markers is not just marker plus. Markers includes all these tools. One of them is the marker slope. So I can assign a name for my slope, for example, my slope, and I want to measure the slope of this line, which is a linear regression. So on input series, I look my indicator, linear regression, and on this case is 83. 83. By default, it is painting signals, but I don't need a signal each time there is a change on the direction. So let's turn this off because I'm only interested in the histogram. When the line is sloping up, this is positive. When this line is sloping down, it is negative. That means when this is positive, I want to enable longs. When this is negative, I want to enable shorts. So now, the name I assigned for this is my slope. And I can use this on markers, enable filters, and I have unlimited number of conditions. I can add as many as I want, but in this case, my condition is that this histogram must be greater than 0 or, for example, greater than 1 or 0.5. I can add a threshold, but let's make it simple, greater than 0, positive. And for shorts, maybe I want it to be less than 0, negative 0.5, or make it simple, less than 0. Okay, okay. Now, I have a new button here where I have the filters. And the result of the filter is here waiting for incoming data. So we need incoming data. And now longs are enabled because the histogram is blue. Shorts are disabled. When the filter is on, if I get a short signal, it will be ignored. If I want for some time disable the filter, I can turn the filter off. I don't get the results here. And for example, this is just one of the simplest cases, but I can look at the position of a moving average against the faster moving average or anything, or having two consecutive green bars. The rules are unlimited. You can choose any filter you want. Okay.
Okay. Okay. One other question. I think you've answered it already. It was a question about do arrows, red or blue, appear after the closing bars. Again, that's I know Pablo covered that a bit. You know, there's different ways you can use Flow Scalper to generate a signal. Now, you know, remember with order flow, as a bar is forming, there can be a signal, but if the order flow in that same bar comes in and is contrary to what the signal is, the signal will disappear as the bar is forming. Once the bar closes, the signal will appear there. Now, if you're using the trade entry signal, the bar has to close, period, before a signal will be generated. I know Pablo covered that, and I think I saw a comment from the same person said, thanks for covering it, Pablo. There's another question. Will it work on range charts? Yeah, it'll work on range charts. Most people, I mean, I don't know. In my experience, I find about half the traders use time-based charts, the other half use sort of a combination of range-based charts, volume-based charts. It really depends on, you know, how you approach the market. Let me see here. Someone says, this sounds crazy complicated. Actually, the first time, you know, I thought the same thing, but then, you know, literally after sitting down and watching some of Pablo's videos, you know, you got to take the time to want to learn a new tool. It took me about, you know, and I'm not a computer person. You know, that's one of the reasons why people say, oh, why don't you use Sierra charts? You know, you can do so much more than NinjaTrader. I am I'm like an average computer person, okay, and I find that, you know, NinjaTrader is good in what you can do, and it just takes a little time to learn it. Okay, it's not going to take a month to learn. You know, really, I want to show you guys how I set it up from scratch in a minute. Sally asks, would it be easier to get a template? Yeah, yeah, templates are easy, but I find creating it yourself, you know, when you understand what you're doing, makes it a lot easier. Now, Pablo, there's a question for you. RB asks, what's the purpose of copying? Okay, because like in markers, there's a lot of different choices of, you know, there's copy, there's slope, etc. Maybe you can explain that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. The copy is the main feature of markers because anything that we have on the chart, signals, lines, whatever, we can copy that into a markers variable. And then we can access that markers variable to do something. For example, that markers variable is greater than the same on the previous bar or has a value. For example, when you have a signal, the markers variable has value or not. Because when there is an empty space, like now, the markers variable has no value at all. So yeah, you can do a lot of things. For example, detect the crossover between two lines. Let's say that you want to detect the crossover between this and the price. One way to do that is to copy the line and then detect the crossover between the name that you assign to this with the price. And yeah, it may looks complicated because you may say, why not saying creating an indicator where I can directly place the name of the indicator here, for example, on one of the parameters, because it is not possible. It is not possible to create an indicator where I can place more than one data series. Here on input series, I am copying the order flow. So on this variable, I am placing the value of the plots painted by this indicator. It will be much better if I can detect the crossover if I have two input series, but this is not possible at least on the current version of NinjaTrader.
Okay. Okay. Venkat asks, Pablo, how to set markers plus so that it only takes one signal and not every signal following the first signal?
You have several options, and well, I was going to do a demonstration of that today because, for example, this indicator as it is configured now, it paints and unpaints, paints and unpaints. So it is possible that I enter the market and I get a target, and then it paints a triangle again, because we see a solid triangle now, but the indicator is painting, repainting, and repainting sometimes. And then sometimes it is also deleting the triangle. So we have the option. Look at this now. We have another triangle, but we are in a trade. So we have the option to take only one trade per direction, or I don't know. Imagine that you have a small target, has 2 ticks. Then you have an entry, take 2 ticks, and that's all. But on the same bar, you have another signal painted. And you can enter again on this same signal, and you have entry, target, entry, target, entry, target.
Right.
That option is here. I usually don't like to take more than one trade per side, but this is optional here. One trade per bar. So if you got a signal on this bar and you finish it with target or stop, it doesn't matter. No more signals are taken into account, and all the rest of the signals are ignored. But if you untick this option and you finish the trade, you can enter again. This is hard to visually backtest because you have no idea looking at the chart how many entries are on a bar. This
Right.
is the reason
That's like
usually
something if you were trading on a dome or something, you know, and you're really scalping in a more pure sense, or you're taking a lot of trades. Can you pull that back up real quick? The indicator setting for markers.
Yes.
Because I wanted to ask you, take a second to explain something there.
First of all, we need to copy the signals.
Right.
So we go to markers copy, and we need to set this as a fast signal. We assign a name, and on input series, we look for the indicator. Currently, Flow Scalper. We set all the parameters, and then we select which one of the plot is the one I want to copy. Currently, I am copying the normal by, the blue triangles. And also, the copy must work on each tick or at bar close, depending on how the original indicator is working. If your indicator was working at bar close, the suggested method is copying at bar close to avoid overloading the computer.
Yeah, actually, I use on each tick, but can you go to the markers plus the force? I want to ask a question about the configuration there, or not ask, but let you explain. Scroll down, that one there, trades by side, right?
Yes, this is, for example, 0 is disabled.
Right.
No limit. Okay. But for example, if you have here three consecutive longs, and I want to take only the first long and the 2 longs, I can type a 2. So I enter long, get the target, enter long, get the target, and then it is ignored. Now I am waiting for a short.
Yeah, that's. I think that might answer that question a little bit more, because you know it's one of those things where sometimes if you're trying to trade reversals, right, and you don't want to just sometimes I always say take market in context, right? So obviously you want to be getting long somewhere near the top of the move, or sorry, get short somewhere near the top, get long somewhere near the bottom. You don't want to just keep selling, because eventually, after you got short 8 times, it's going to run out. Then you're going to find yourself short at the bottom of the move. But for some people, I keep it set to 0. I had tried setting it to another number, but then for me personally, I keep it to 0. But that, in case anybody was wondering what that was, that's what that is. Another question: excuse me, sorry, can markers plus enter a trade on a micro based on a signal in the mini contract. So for example, signal on the gold futures, but enter a position on the micro gold.
Yes, because all the variables, okay, and all the signals are global per instrument. That means go long with this ID exists on all your charts for the same instrument, for NASDAQ. But if you have another instrument, so you want signals on one place and trigger orders on another instrument, you can add the global, this signal. And of course, when you copy, you need to create a global. By the way, this will be the case where you are copying on one chart with one instrument and placing the markers automation tool on another chart with a different instrument. So go long is created on, I don't know, maybe the standard instrument NQ, and markers is placed on the mini M and Q. This is a classic.
Yeah. Okay. So how would you, just real quick, so how would it know to enter, say, okay, so like right now your chart is NQ. How would it tell it to enter MNQ?
Very simple. I remove marker from here.
Okay.
So now NASDAQ, and this chart, NASDAQ, is only doing the copy.
Okay.
So now, when the indicator has a value, the variable go long, which is global, has value.
Right.
So now you go to another chart.
Okay.
I am on playback, so I don't have data for M and Q, but let's say we can try. Futures and Q. Minutes, or it doesn't matter now the time frame, because markets is just going to execute.
Right.
Okay. Yes, I have data. Yeah. Perfect. So now I only need to add markers. The time frame is not necessary to be the same. So place markers, fast signal mode, and take a look at the global go long, global go short.
Right.
And that's all.
Okay. Yeah, so you gotta have basically two charts open. One running the copy on the market that you want to copy from.
One is creating the signals, and the other is executing the signals.
Right. Gotcha. Makes sense now. Just a couple questions. One for me. So I get Orderflows 3.0, get the scalper. Well, order flow itself is, such a big thing as opposed to Orderflows Scalper reads the order flow in general. There's a lot of other nuances in the order flow that's not covered by the scalper. Let's see here. Someone's asking if we got discount. Yeah, I'll go over that a little bit later. Yes, there'll be a recording. Jeffrey asks if we buy the indicator, will there be a template? Yeah, I'm going to put a template up on the site.
I have a chat room where I am posting templates of all the common indicators. So
yeah, Pablo I know has got on his site. He's got a bunch. He's also got a Discord group. You guys are interested in that. Let's see here. Peter asks if I buy markers, is there coaching or only videos? That's something you got to talk to Pablo about.
We have the chat room open 24/7.
Okay.
And we have free training sessions all Tuesdays, and also we have advanced sessions. But I suggest doing first the basic training session, because the advanced is really advanced.
Yeah, the Discord group, I mean, it's a good resource, to ask questions and find out from other people what's working. Is there a way to use a strategy analyzer, um, help reviewing targets and stops?
This is what I explained on the advanced, because we know that strategy analyzer uses standard orders, and here we are using ATM orders. The strategy analyzer is not compatible with ATM, but on the advanced sessions, all Thursdays, I am explaining how to convert a logic that we have on markers to create a strategy with builder and then optimize the parameters.
Okay. Yeah, the problem with optimizing anything is it tends to be curve fitted a lot of times.
Exactly.
And that's a problem, especially when it comes to trading, because sometimes people optimize and think, oh, this is it, I got the perfect setting. Well, yeah, it was the perfect setting for everything up to right now.
Exactly.
Then going forward, then they wonder why everything failed, because obviously the markets keep changing. But there's another question. Nick asks, is there a step-by-step tutorial? Well, I'm going to show you after I get through these questions how easy it is to set up. I'm going to pull up a chart, start from scratch. Can it be used on a Renko chart? I don't think so. I don't use Renko charts. Pablo, what's your experience? I don't think my indicator can be used on a Renko chart. Honestly, I haven't looked at it, but I'm not sure.
In relation to markers, there's no importance on the time frame because it just looks signals and executes signals.
Right. Okay. Eugene asks, is trade executed automatically when the signal appears or should be entered manually? Well, there's different modes. Use the automatic mode, it'll be automatic.
Yes, at the exact tick the signal is painted, it enters the market. And so you have the option to leave the system to enter the trade at the exact moment by you, and then you can take control. This is my suggested method. Let the system enter the trade, and then you take control and move the target and the stops to the most appropriate position, taking into account your support and resistance.
Right. Hang on a second here. I got a couple of questions for me. Rob, Next Gen Trader. I'll check my email. I didn't get an email from you recently. I'll check again. Also, JRP4605, I'll send you an email. Let me see here. When I get a long signal, is it possible for markers to only open a position of that long signal is on a green bar and vice versa? Short signal, I only want markers to submit an order if that signal is on a red bar. So basically, I guess he's asking, say he gets a signal, but he only wants to take it on a green bar, like a buy signal on a green bar and a sell signal on a red bar. Is there a way to do that in markers?
Yes, you only need to set, as we did here, my filter will be that the bar is green, or that I have two consecutive bars in green. Example, where is my marker? I deleted markers on this chart, but it remains on this one. I can place a filter like this. I go to filters, and for longs, I want a green bar. For example, the close on the current bar is greater than the open on the current bar. This is a green bar because the close is over the open. This is for longs. And even more, if you want to enter long only if the current bar is green and also the previous is green, you can type that the close one was greater than the open one. That means current bar is green, previous bar was green.
Right.
This is just a classic filter.
Okay, so you use filters for that. Another question, is it better with markers plus if my indicator generates a plot like a triangle, or is it better if it generates a text plot like go long, go short?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Whatever it does.
As long as it plots something. Yeah.
I suggest using a plot. Yes.
Yeah, right. Question here for me. Heinz, I'll check my email. I'll check your license, Heinz, and get back to you. Robert, question. Well, this is kind of a general question for me. Which markets do you find this works best on? E-minis, NQ? You know, this is a question. I don't really trade NQ. I do follow it. I trade ES. NQ moves are just too fast for me. Um, and then at the same time for other people, they love NQ because they love that volatility, but it does work on NQ. I have a user who's using it on NQ and he's telling me he's been seeing phenomenal results.
I have a comment about that. I was looking at the indicator and the signals are much better on Standard & Poor's. But the reason because I did this is because the number of ticks on Standard & Poor's is huge. It is much more than Nasdaq. So trying to do this webinar will be impossible from my notebook.
Yeah,
That's the only
I don't know.
reason.
It's funny, I just for me it's about trading a market that's easier to trade. Because there's besides the E-minis, I trade some commodity markets that for me it's just easier, honestly. The markets move more methodically. Nasdaq, you get a lot of up and down, 20 points in 30 seconds in the Nasdaq. It's going to give me give you a heart attack. um, but again, that just comes down to you. But there are people I know that trading Nasdaq that are doing really well. They've sent me some very reassuring emails that it does work on Nasdaq. For me, I just find the path of least resistance. I just want a market that isn't going to stress me out too much, and is going to move nicely rather than erratically. Have you found a favorite setting yet? And if so, what are your average gains? Yeah, in the previous presentation I did, I go over some settings, but again, it depends on how you trade yourself. Do you want a lot of signals? Do you want less signals? Let me see. Okay, this question I'll answer. Does Flow Scalper depict signals at the close of a bar that momentarily disappear while the bars are forming? Now, again, on Flow Scalper, there's a setting called trade entry signal. Trade entry signal means the bar has to, if you have it enabled, the bar has to close. And once the bar closes, once it prints, then that's it, the signal will appear. If you do not have trade entry signal enabled, as the bar is forming, it's right here in the middle, right? So if that's enabled, the bar has to close and the next bar or two has to move 2 ticks in the direction of the signal. If it is disabled, as the bar is forming, the signal can print and unprint, depending on what's happening in that bar. And for some people, some people like to just see the signal as soon as it forms, and because they're more on pure scalping, and so they're happy to take signals intra-bar back and forth, and they're reading the order flow. Now, for people that tend to be more indicator centric, they don't want it to reprint, and that's where using the trade entry signal is going to help you. Is Orderflow Scalper, this next question for me, is Flow Scalper a light version of Orderflow 3? Not really. I said it reads, overall it reads the order flow, but again, in order flow, there's a lot of little nuances. Can you offer technical help to set up? But I'm about to just go over really quick how to set it up. It'll just take a couple minutes. Pablo, let's see, Michael, template. Yeah, there'll be a template. I know Pablo's got templates on his website, and I'll put one up on my website. Let's see here, templates. Yeah, again, there's a couple of questions. What's the difference between Orderflow Scalper and Orderflows 3.0? Orderflow Scalper is an indicator that reads the order flow. Orderflows 3.0 is the footprint chart. Okay. Yeah, Peter. Well, Peter asked me about a second license. Yeah, Peter. If the way the licenses work, just people so you understand. on my indicators, it's linked to the machine ID that's on your computer from NinjaTrader. So if you have more than one computer, you're going to need more than one license. Pablo, I'm going to take the screen back from you. Let
Okay.
me,
Make presenter.
yeah. Okay, here. Okay, there we go. Can you see my screen now? Should be able to.
I can see your screen.
Okay. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, so I'm just going to show you guys really quick. I'm going to start from scratch. Okay, so really quick while I got you here, this is a footprint chart. Obviously, this is a bar chart. Footprint chart, this is the Orderflows Trader 3.0, right? The Flow Scalper reads what's in here and gives you signals based on a form of analysis of the footprint chart, okay? But the Orderflows Trader does more. It shows you like the value areas of the bars, the points of control. You know, there's certain points of control that are bullish, like this one here is a very bullish point of control. That's why it's green. All, you know, the different types of analysis that I use in trading doesn't all go exactly into the Flow Scalper. A lot of it does, but not every single little thing, because there's just so much that's going on. Anyway, I'll just show you guys real quick how easy it is to set up markers. Okay, I'll just open up a new chart from scratch. So yeah, I like to put tick replay on. Pablo went through a little trick, a little hack, so to speak, where you don't need tick replay, but I'll just put up a simple chart here. Let me just change some of the colors. Axis is black, crosshair, in case I need to use it, I'll make that black. Okay, so there's a few steps. There's only about 6 steps that I go through here. I also turn on chart trader. I like to show date and range on my chart. Chart trader. Okay, so that's this part over here. Okay, so right now I've got Delta Scalper on this chart. Let me just take it off. All right, so I'll put on Flow Scalper. This is E-mini, so for this presentation, I'll just use the defaults that I have for my Flow Scalper, which is 0, no swing filter, 5, and no contango. Type market, I'll put that on. I have trade entry signal on, and I'll click apply. Okay, and while that's coming up, I'll start adding markers. Force, copy one for the buys, one's for the sells. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is I'll go to markers the force. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. So yeah, I want to enable longs, enable shorts. I'll make it fast signal. So you can see go long, go short. Again, you can sort of name it whatever you want. In this case, I'll use normal up for long signals. For short signals, I'll call it normal down. What else in here? Oh, it's 500's in this market nowadays. 500's a little tight. You know, so you might want to make it a little bigger, 1,000 or something. It depends on how much you're trading. And working mode, change to auto. Okay, so basically 4 things: working mode, auto, enable longs, enable shorts, fast signals, enable. I changed the name of the fast signals, normal up and normal down in this case, and I just changed this part here, the longs and the shorts. Now I got to set up the buys. So the first one will be the buys. So what I'm going to do is I'll change this, right, because it says my line. Change it to normal up, and I'm going to use fast signal. And where are we here? This one, the data series, is where I find the indicator. Flow Scalper, I check these to make sure this is the right settings. 5 is enabled, everything else not enabled. Tight markets all enable. Plot, right, the normal buy signal, okay. Okay, Jeffrey says change normal up. All right, let me take a look here. So that's it there. And now again, if normal here, normal, thanks, Jeff. Again, how you want it to plot, if, you can have the dot, so it'll tell you, Pablo showed you the dot, or you can change it to, what the signal is. If you want to have it different, it doesn't matter. In this case, I'll just keep it as the dot. So then hit apply. So now I gotta set up the cell copy. So I'm gonna change that to normal down. Enable fast signal. Oh, I gotta change this part to on tick. And since it's a cell, you probably want to change it to a red color. So I got everything right here. Signal down, change each tick, normal cell signal, normal down, click apply. I forgot this one, I got to change to on each tick.
And the input series of the second marker copy.
Input series, oh, yeah. That's very important. Trying to run through it really fast. This should all be the same here. 550. Tight. Okay.
Normal cell. The other plot.
Which one?
The plot on the input series.
On this one, or on this one, the actual in here.
On the last one. It's normal cell.
Yeah. Cell signal. That little plot there. So that little piece. So I'm trying to go through. I'm trying to make it fast. I'm just skipping one or two steps. And that's that. So you can see it's calculating here. So because I have tick data enabled, again, Pablo showed you a little hack to get around that, but it's pretty quick. And then what you got to do while that's sort of going on, you make sure your ATM is selected. Selective valid. You see selective valid ATM up here. For E-minis during the day, I like to use 16 by 16. I click that, so you see 16 by 16. Then make sure your count is set. Playback. Okay, so playback up here. Make sure that matches there. Auto. Make sure that's enabled for auto mode. And then, just basically, then you can start it up here. Let me get this is just from Friday here. Make it a little faster. But so you can see, if there's one thing to keep in mind, right? Hang on a second here. Under the flows, the force rather, enable reversals. Okay, so if you're in a position and another signal comes up, it will close out the position, enter into the new position. Some people, I use that. Some people may not want to use it. So again, it's up to you. But you have that option. But anyway, so you can see, like, even if it doesn't hit your target and it does the reversal, it'll just get you out once the new once it gives you that new signal. So me, again, the way I use it is I manage the trade. I use it to get in. I don't just either let it go directly to my target or stop. Now, again, what Pablo was talking about earlier, just really quick, under this part here, where is it? Where am I? Trades per side, setting it to 0. So like you can see here, right? There was short in here or here. And then, the take profit was here, but there was another short signal here. So it got me short again. Another short signal got me short again. If you set it at, say you set it at 1, it would only take, the first trade until a buy signal came in. So again, just bear that in mind if you're wondering how to use that part. So, it said, you saw how quickly I was able to set it up. I'm going to put this checklist, I'm going to send this list out. I have it all written down, honestly. So you can see how, literally it's 6 steps and you just go through that. I'll send it out with the replay, because I'm sure people will ask, how do I, set it up? Because again, sometimes people think it's very complicated. It's really not. You just go through a simple checklist and go from there. People are asking, is there a discount? Well, right now I have the Flow Scalper as until the end of this next week. Its price is actually going to go up. I have it at a very introductory price right now, but I have one more presentation later this week coming up with Investors Expo, which I'll be dealing with Flow Scalper. So right now it's $349, but after Martin Luther King Day, the price will increase. So if you already have a copy, you want another copy, I do offer a discount. Now, Pablo, what about you? What can you do for people as far as, you got any special deal or anything?
Yes, of course, of course. Yes, we have a very interesting coupon of discount.
Okay. You
if you are registered to this list, of course.
Right. Okay. So anyway, for me, just go to flowscalper.com. You're still going to get the introductory price. And you know what? If you watch this presentation, even after I raise the price, shoot me an email. Because I know sometimes people they get paid at weekly. Some people get paid monthly. I know when I lived in Singapore, they got paid monthly. So sometimes I gotta wait till the end of the month to buy something. But if you watch this presentation and you want to sort of lock it in, just shoot me an email. Say, hey, Mike, I watched your presentation with Pablo. I just, for whatever reason, wasn't able to get it at that time. Can you work out something for me? Yeah, just shoot me an email. So for now, for me, go to flowscalper.com. Pablo, if you want, you can take over the screen back, put your link up there.
Okay.
Or I could give you back the screen here. There you go.
Which screen? This one. For those who don't know me, this is my web page and indicatormarket.com, and the chat room is at the bottom here. You only need to click on connect. If you already have a Discord account, then you just click on connect and you are in. If you never used Discord before, then you get a page to create an user. And inside the chat room, we have several, let me show you. How is Discord? Okay. This is how Discord looks. And these are all the sections that we have. We have a special section for markets users where you can post questions. We have templates also. And not only my templates. everyone is posting templates and trying to help other users. You can contact me just if you enter on the general section. You can click over my name and type a question, and you talk directly with me. This is anytime because this is on my mobile. And that's all. You can find from my chat room, you can find everything that you need. Right? And to access my chat room, you only need to go to my website, go to the bottom, and click on connect.
Okay. So it's the indicatormarket.com, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, I get a little confused. The indicator market, the indicator store.
No, if you type the
Redirects. Yeah.
indicatorstore.com, you go to the same place.
Right, right. Okay, I'll put it in the chat there for everybody. There you go. And you can see there, you can get Markers Plus. What's the difference between Markers Plus and Markers Lite?
No, this is currently not available.
Okay, gotcha. Just save you a question or two later. So anyway, thanks Pablo. Thanks everybody. You know, it was a big ask for people to come out on a Saturday morning. You know, and spend an hour and 40 minutes with us. So again, you know, any questions for me, shoot me an email. I got a few people here I wrote down, Rob, JRP, Peter, and Heinz. I'll get back to you. And again, if you got any questions for Pablo, you know, his contact.
You can contact me on the chat room, or my email is Pablo at theindicatorstore.com.
Right, and that's also on his website as well. So thanks everybody. Thanks for taking that time out today. Thanks Pablo for your time. I think this
thank you everyone.
This really helps a lot of people, and you know that's the whole point of it to do. You know, is to expand people's knowledge on really what's available out there. You know, because a lot of people don't realize, you know, there's these tools out there that can facilitate their trading. You know, and ultimately, you know, become a better trader. So thanks Pablo. Thanks everybody for attending. And there will be a replay. I'm going to, after this is done, I got to go through render it and stuff, so it'll be up later today. And I'll send out a link to you guys with how I set up markers and all the contact information for Pablo as well. So thanks everybody, and have a great rest of the weekend. Thanks Pablo.
Thank you everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.